When you're a team like the Tennessee Titans and you see your young franchise quarterback kind of have a bad season, you worry about your future and you worry about things. But then it's crazy how 2017 kind of sort of actually played out for the Tennessee Titans because Marcus Mariota was not great. He was not even very good at all. He was pretty bad, if we're just being blunt and honest here. And sure, there are always a variety of different reasons for that. But the fact is, when you take a guy number 2 overall in 2015, you've gotten into year 3, you're expecting to see progress, not regression, which it feels like is exactly what you saw out of Mariota in 2017. But even in spite of all of that, the Tennessee Titans still ultimately found a way to make it into the playoffs. And a lot of people were assuming that they were going to go into Tennessee, take their lumps, and head coach Munchak was going to be fired, and then you look forward to 2018 and beyond. And in the first half of that playoff game in the wild card round in Kansas City, it certainly looked like that. The Chiefs were rolling the Titans. They were all over them. They were owning them, and it looked like it was going to be one of those really, really bad, embarrassing playoff losses for the Titans. And then the second half happened. And then this team fought, and they scrapped, and they fought, and they scrapped, and they found a way to overcome it all, that big deficit, and they beat the Kansas City Chiefs. So a team that barely got into the playoffs goes on the road against what people thought was a really, really good Kansas City team, goes down big in the first half, comes back and finds to win a way to win a road playoff game. And even the next week, they go into New England, and initially they stick a little bit of a game to the Patriots before reality sets in. And they ended up still firing their head coach anyways. It's funny how this all worked. Like, once the regular season was over, everybody was ready to fire the Titans head coach. Everybody was ready to say, dude's gone. Like, it was a formality. They're going to lose to the Chiefs. They're going to fire their head coach. Then they win the playoff game in dramatic come-from-behind fashion. And then he still gets fired anyways. I kind of get it. I kind of understand it. I kind of don't, because it's like the dude not only ultimately took you to the playoffs, you won a playoff game, and you're rewarding that by terminating him. Interesting. So anyways, Mike Vrabel has been hired to be the new Tennessee Titans head coach, coming from that Bill Belichick tree, if you will. I don't know if that's the tree that you want to be plucking leaves off of, but nonetheless, that's what the Titans did. It'll be interesting to see if he brings a different formula there and the right formula for success for this Titans team. The big move that they made this offseason was signing Malcolm Butler away from the Patriots via free agency. This is a team that's invested a little bit in free agency in that secondary. First, you talk about Logan Ryan, and now you bring in Malcolm Butler. You're pairing him with a former third-round pick and Kevin Byard, who was an all-pro level safety. You know, that Titans secondary could be improved coming up in 2018. And Malcolm Butler potentially coming in, even though he did get paid a lot of money, could have a big chip on his shoulder based off of what happened in the Super Bowl. He's going to be looking to, I think, prove himself and show that the Patriots made a big mistake. And that could work out to the benefit of the Titans. In terms of their draft philosophy, I thought it was kind of interesting because they really went with this approach of quantity over quality. They ended up with, 4 picks? It was Rashaan Evans, Harold Landry, Dane Cruikshank, and then was it Luke Falk? Yeah, it was the 4th one. They really valued the quality over the quantity. And when you look at Rashaan Evans, it felt like he was a New England Patriots type of linebacker, so it's kind of ironic and funny that a former Patriots linebacker like Mike Vrabel would trade up, jump over the Patriots in order to ensure that he got his guy. That's kind of funny how that works out. He wanted to make sure, ultimately, that he got his dude. And then when you look at Harold Landry, you know, this is a guy in 2016, had big-time sack numbers at Boston College, 2017, had some injury issues, didn't show the same wiggle off the edge, the same bend, the ability to dip, the same explosiveness, struggled against the run. You could clearly tell the Tennessee Titans believe that their defense needed some help, but if they got some help, could go to another level. And to be fair, when you look at this team, you did bring in a defensive-minded head coach, specifically a former NFL linebacker and a pretty good one. It does make sense to invest your first couple of picks on guys that Mike Vrabel can relate to, that Mike Vrabel can understand what they go through, that Mike Vrabel knows how to play the game at those positions. So it could be very good for guys like Evans and Harold Landry, and the Titans are going to need these guys to be impact players from day number one. When you look at this team, they lost DeMarco Murray, but I still feel like the running game is a pretty big strength for them. You've got Mariota, one of the better running quarterbacks in the league. You've got Derrick Henry. Imagine trying to tackle his 250-pound ass 20 times a game. He's the type of guy that makes you have to evaluate yourself and make a lot of business decisions. You bring in Dion Lewis via free agency, so while he's not DeMarco Murray and the type of runner DeMarco Murray was, he does bring a bit of a different element to that offense, which I'm kind of excited to see what Lewis can do as kind of a change of pace receiving type of back. Then you look at the offensive tackles. You've got Conklin on the right side. He's solid. Taylor Lewan is pretty good on the left side. They just extended him and paid him big money. You've got bookend tackles that are competent to quality, which is nice when you've got a young quarterback that you're trying to protect. And then this Titans team was pretty good against the run last year. And with a guy like Rashaan Evans in the fold and Mike Vrabel coming in as the head coach, I expect the run defense to be equally as good at least this year. What concerns me, though? First, defensively, I mentioned the secondary, talking about adding guys like Logan Ryan and now Malcolm Butler. You've got Kevin Byard there. This is a team that was still vulnerable in the air. You talk about first-round pick last year, Adoree Jackson. He had a couple of moments, but he had some moments he also looked really, really bad. This secondary, if it comes together and it gels, could take this defense to another level. But if it doesn't, it's going to look like an overpaid, overhyped unit that gets burned in bad spots in key situations. I look at the wide receivers. You really need Corey Davis to play like a top 5 pick. And I think it's there, and I think he can. But you need more out of him. He's got to be able to stay healthy first and then be able to contribute. It would be a big help to Mariota, that's for sure. And then I look at Mariota himself. I'm really concerned what I saw in year 3. He was not very good. He just wasn't. He came alive in that playoff game against the Chiefs when his team needed him, but it wasn't like he was gangbusters in the first half either. This is year 4 now. If you're the Titans, you're starting to think about the future and you're saying, hey, we're possibly having to look at giving this guy a contract extension after this season or maybe after the next season or maybe making some business decisions in terms of the franchise tag long term. Is Mariota the guy that we want to tie our wagon to? Is Mariota the type of guy that we can hitch our star to? And is Mike Vrabel the type of guy that's going to help get more out of Mariota? This is a really important, borderline critical year in this Titans organization and its trajectory going forward. Looking at their schedule, looking early in the year, I look at weeks 2 through 4. You host Houston, go to Jacksonville, host Philly. What appears to be on paper 3 quality teams. Yeah, you got 2 of them at home. 2 of them are divisional opponents. This is a chance early on in the season for the Titans, Vrabel, Mariota, to step up and make a little bit of a statement. And then when you go into November, the schedule doesn't get great there either. You got to go to Dallas, you host New England, go to Indy, go to Houston. 3 of your 4 games in November are on the road. You've got some quality opponents mixed in. I look at this as a situation where the razor-thin margins of the league that I've talked about before, that the difference between 10 wins and 6 wins is very, 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 very small. And to me, I could see the Titans, who won 9 games last year, being improved, winning 10 games, and maybe being able to potentially sneak out and win this division. But I could also see them being, based off of some of the tough games that they have to play, winning 6 games. So I'm kind of splitting the difference here. I think the Texans, with everybody in the fold, are better than the Titans, and I also think the Jaguars are better than the Titans. The Titans are okay. They're just missing something to me before I can really throw my hat into the ring for them and truly back them and show a ton of confidence in them. I think they're a good team, not a great team, probably going to see a small step back, but like I said, 8-8, hell, in the AFC, that might keep you in the playoff race all year. But I know based off of the fact they made it to the second round of the playoffs last year, new head coach, there's reason for optimism and excitement. It's a no for me, dog. I just don't think that they're quite there. I really, really don't.